In today's video we're going to have a look at this Aiwa PX370. Now these seem quite popular on some online auction sites, and it's quite a slimline, small personal stereo. This one's in pretty good condition. This one's came direct from Japan. So yeah, I would compare this to a Panasonic, something like this, the SX52. And as you can see, they're very, very broadly similar, but they are a little bit different in thickness. And in fact, they're both still pretty small, barely bigger than the cassette itself. However, what's different about this is it doesn't use the standard Panasonic Sony kind of gumstick battery with a positive and negative at opposite ends. It uses a slightly different one, if we get into this now. And you can't quite see down there, I'll shine a torch down to this. And down the bottom there, you can't quite see it. Yep, there's two pins at the bottom there. You need a special battery for this. So Aiwa do batteries, but the ones I've got are flat and I don't have a charge for them, so I bought this 3D printed thing from AliExpress. And it's quite clever. It has the pins at one end. As you can see, it's pretty clearly 3D printed. It has a little flat battery pack inside and a charger and a USB-C at the end, which is quite cool. It allows you to just plug this in. It allows you to charge it on the fly. It looks quite good, and it's actually quite well made. So this is actually nearly fully charged, so we'll plug this in just now. Because I want to check to see if this thing will actually work at all. So I've got to make sure you get it in the right way. So it does a little marker up here telling you where to put it. So just slide this in, lock it in place, and we'll open it up. And what I'll do is I'll put a cassette in just so that it has something to detect it has a cassette in place. And what I like about this Aiwa is it's got a neat little feature which the Panasonics are kind of slated for. So the capstans of the pinch rollers, when the unit's open are apart, but when you close the unit, the pinch rollers press against the capstan. If it sits like this for a decade in a drawer somewhere, then these pinch rollers are going to get a big dent in them and they might damage the capstans. So it's not a great setup, but it is quite small and slimline. So what Aiwa have done is they've put the head at this end, and the head itself moves out, and the capstans are kind of protected, they're recessed inside this plastic housing, and the pinch rollers pop out when you push the start button as well. So let's just put the cassette in. It feels a bit odd putting the cassette in face front. Obviously it's not turning. We'll just make sure it's not in the lock position. There's a lock switch on this, so this is on the top. Hold, so hold was off. And if we press play, you may hear the motor turning there. It's just clearing its bells. Well, that sounds pretty healthy otherwise. So let's get cracked in this. In fact, you can see the operation LEDs working, so that's good news. So let's just crack this open. Now I've not actually been inside this yet. Can't remember how much I paid for this, but I'll overlay how much I paid from buyee.jp, and we'll get the trusty iFixit kit out. We'll also get a little bit of kitchen roll out, because if this thing's got an old manky belt in it, it will literally fall to pieces as I open it up, and there's bits of rubber everywhere. Okay, I'm just going to extend this camera up a bit. So first up, we're taking the front panel off. So there's one screw on this side, none on that side, one screw on that side, and two on this side. And while I'm unscrewing this, I'm going to do a little bit of a sponsorship point. Now, this channel has no sponsored content really, so I'm going to sponsor myself. And as you know, if you followed this channel, my main channel, Handheld Gaming, is monetised. I don't have any sponsorship deals in place, but I do have my own merch. And you might be interested in buying some of that merch, and this mouse mat here is part of that. Now I've had this for at least 6 months, and it's surprisingly good condition. So I've had this 6 months. It's got one little damage bit there where I used a soldering iron and touched into it, and one dirty mark there just came off. This cleans up really well. If you're looking for a large mouse mat, I'll put a link in the description. This covers the entirety of my table pretty much. It's about a metre long by about 40 centimetres deep, I think. And it's proven to be a really good work surface and also a really good mouse mat. It's very colour fast as well. So let's just try and see if we can get this panel off. Definitely got all the screws out. Definitely think so. Okay, so what I'm going to use now is I like to use a guitar pick because it's soft and it won't damage the surface. I think this may have some plastic clips. Aha. Oh, that's actually the door. The other side I'm taking off. So I think this may have some plastic clips to hold it shut. Some of the Panasonic RTS models do that as well. Certainly the later, more plastic units. I'm just going to extend this up a bit more. Now one thing to watch out for, I have noticed this, there's a little recessed in bit of plastic there, it's just fell straight off. It'll fall out the case now. It's just a little trim panel piece for the 2V DC charger port. Now I wasn't able to test this with a charger because I don't have any chargers that would work on this. Oh, this is actually in very nice condition. And, unlike the Panasonics, this one requires no strip down to fit a new belt. As you can see, there's a bit of belt there. Let's get a tweezer and I'll show you. Here's a belt here. Remains of a bit of belt. There's quite a little bits of belt in here. And this stuff's horrible. So it's quite hard and brittle just now, but when it warms up, it'll just turn to sludge. And that's why I put a bit of kitchen roll down so it won't get all over the mouse mat. So I'm just going to carefully pick out all this as best I can. So I'm going to unscrew this little panel here, and I can see some of the belts wrapped around there, so getting into that's going to be fun. And I don't think there's many points to unscrew here. Let's just get a torch on this just now. I'm not sure this board would remove. It may remove, actually. There's a little tape position sensor there, so just to be careful when you're, if you do decide to take this apart. But I'm actually going to try and see if I can completely take this apart or completely remove the belt, because it's on plastic capstans, which is interesting. So this is my Woobin E7. Now this was sponsored on the other channel, and I really like this little flashlight. It's super bright, it's really good for focusing and stuff like this, and it's got a really nice clip on it. So I'm going to clip this onto my jumper just now, turn it back on. You'll get a little bit of a shadow because there's a pole in front of me here where I'm suspending the camera, and I'm just going to carry on removing bits of this belt. Now the Aiwa belts tend to go quite brittle by the feel of them, unlike the Panasonic ones, which just turn to absolute goo. I can actually see there's nothing left on there, which is quite interesting. I can see there's a little bit of belt in here. Oops, I knocked a bit of belt off there, it's fallen into the... There rescued that. Still some more in there. Some of this is a bit gooey. What I'm going to do is use my usual technique, which is get some isopropyl alcohol. and a toothpick. Once you get a little bit wet there, and it's quite easy to just press under the edge, and there's less likely any risk of damage to any capstans. I can see there's quite a lot of belt stuck to there, so that's good news. Just get underneath it. Hopefully it'll raise up. There you go, see? Easiest way to get them off. And it's left quite a lot of residue left on there as well, so we'll flip that round. I'll just check this one as well now. Nothing on there. Check this one too. Nothing on there. That's looking pretty promising. So we're going to give this a little bit of a clean with some isopropyl alcohol anyway. I've got a cotton bud here somewhere. This looks like it's going to be one of the nicest repair jobs I've done recently. Yeah, nothing left behind in that. Definitely some belt left in there though. Okay, use the other side now on this side. Now I don't use expensive cotton buds. I generally find the ones from the pound store are the best ones you can get because they're quite cheap, they're quite small, and they fit into these grooves for these personal stereos really well. There you go, so it's quite a lot of gunge was still in there. And I'm just looking at this, I can't see. Ah, I found it. You want to put a new belt on this? We need to adjust the speed, and there's the speed adjuster there, so we'll just check. It seems to be a little bit of gunge still stuck to the surface there, so we'll get another cotton bud. Or Q-tip, depending on which country you're from. I'll just clean around the board randomly, because those bits of belt can go absolutely everywhere. A lot of a mess on there. I can see there's a little bit on the shell I thought as well, but that just appears to be just a mark from where it was assembled, I guess. Okay, so let's see if we can find a belt for this. Now I have got somewhere, I have this package here, which is a Fixture Audio set of generic belts. And this includes Aiwa and Panasonic belts, so we'll find one that fits on here. This looks like it's going to be quite a longish one. Looks like it will obviously go around here. I have to take these two screws off. And what we're going to do is actually move this out of the way. Now we've got the belt out, we're just going to get rid of that. As you can see, you get mess coming off these belts wherever you go. I've got a fresh bit of cotton tissue here. We'll put that there. And the belt is going to have to go around this motor here, round this capstan, I think. It's going to go all the way across, loop round, go around that one and back down this way. I think. Okay. Right, so I think one of the larger belts here, and they're nice small belts here. I think these are like 0.5mm thick. So let's just pick one that, not the biggest one I think, probably one of the slightly smaller ones. Back on with the lamp, and we'll get this looped out. Yep, I think that's just about the right size. Doesn't look like we need to stretch too much. Just before we do anything, let's just turn this so there's nothing. Yep, nothing there, that's good news. Okay, so carefully try and drop that in. I have a feeling this belt may be on the long side. Okay, that might be right. So let's get that battery pack again. We'll put a cassette in. This was a cassette I made myself, and this one got a little bit chewed up, so we'll chuck that one in. Oh, the heads came forward now. Interesting. You can possibly see that the head's in the forward position to play. That's probably just because I've wound this round, so I'll have to wind it back till it goes in the closed position. Okay, so that seems to be back now. All I did was wind this round a few turns and it just retracted, so let's just put this cassette in, close it up, and if you're lucky, it says it's silk written on the actual board. Okay, that seems to have sorted itself out, and now it's playing. It's not turning the cassette though, so I think this belt is just a little bit on the big side, which is fine, so we'll switch to a slightly smaller belt. I did feel like it was a little bit on the large side, so what's happened here? Okay, so we know it's not that belt. We have to go one belt size down. So I'll just fiddle about in this bag here and try and remove another belt. It's definitely one belt size down. I think that might be too small. Yep, so that's definitely one belt size up, I think. So we'll put these two belts over here just now out of the way, and then we'll try again fitting this belt. We'll have to start at the motor end first. And wherever possible, try not to kink your belt. So I like to just kind of feed it round. So that's on. Press play again. That's definitely better. And it's turning now. A bit noisy from that angle, but capstans are both turning and it's turning the tape. So press play and switch the sides. It's not turning the other direction. That could be this cassette that's the issue. So what we'll do, we'll just eject this cassette and I'll put in an audio cassette. That I know works fine, because that old cassette is a little bit past its best. And I'll put an earphone in, a little speaker, and we'll press play. And what I'll do is I'll do a pitch change on it so that you can hear that it's playing, if it's playing. And I won't dock at that point, and the volume's up kind of high, so we'll turn that down a little bit. And let's give this a try.
Don't you know? I'm in your corner.
So, it plays one side okay, but won't play the other. So we'll try that again just a few times, just see if it'll loosen up a bit. And that only took a couple of goes, and it's now playing in both directions quite happily. So we'll stop that just now. We'll remove that cassette. We will give the head and the capstans a little bit of a clean now. And here you can just see this. There's this plastic cover here, and just inside that there's the capstan itself protected. So I'm going to try and give this a little bit of a clean with some isopropyl alcohol. And also try and get the pinch rollers, which are right inside here. I don't really want to take this lid off because these spring-loaded bits can sometimes be a little bit temperamental, and when they come apart they may not want to go back together very well. So we'll be careful. We'll give it a little bit of a clean. It's a surprisingly clean inside, it has to be said. The last thing I like to clean up is I like to use some electrical contact cleaner. I like to squirt a little bit in the earphone socket, a little bit on the volume control, and then what I like to do is just like to work that around backwards and forwards, clean up any corrosion that might be on there, just so you don't get any crackling when you're turning the volume up and down. Now this one was actually okay, but I just like to do it anyway. And then I get an earphone cable and I just plug it in and out a few times, again just for the same reason, just to clean up any contacts that are in there, and that should be okay. We'll put our cassette back in now. Have I still got one in? Yes, I've got one in. I'll plug this little earphone in, speaker in. In fact, what I'll do is I'll use this one, which is a stereo one.
Plug this in.
Now I'm not talking during those points because I'm turning the pitch up just so that I can get this past the YouTube algorithm. We'll flick sides. And I'm going to say I'm pretty happy with that. So the final step that I like to carry out is giving it a real clean. The interior's pretty clean, as we know. I've cleaned the heads. I actually ran a cleaning cassette through it as well, just to give it an extra clean up. And now I want to clean the exterior. So we'll just close this up, take this battery out just now. We'll put the shell back together. Now, what I like to do on the Panasonic units is, generally speaking, where there's a switch, there's usually a little nib sticks out on the actual main board as well. Now this one, all the switches are actually on the main shell, so really connecting this part up has no switches on it. The Panasonic's like the other switches poking through. Now we need to make sure we put that little finishing piece on. It's there. That'll stay in there just now, but making sure it lines up here is the interesting bit. That's the last bit I do. So I like to go on this end first. It looks like there's a bit that actually pokes through the shell there, so just extend this post a bit, give myself a bit more room. I'll turn my flashlight on again, just to line myself up. Get in this edge first. I need to make sure we get that lined over there. It's actually fine first time. Some plastic clips here though, aha, so that might be an issue. Just remove that again. So yeah, there's hooks on this shell here, so do this side first. And that little bit of plastic just fell out, I heard it clattering into the case. So we'll line these little hoops up first. Line that up there. And popping over here is going to be fun, so I have to make sure it stays in place as we pop it into place. There you go, that's fine. Okay, let's put our 4 screws back in. So these are ones for the sides. None on the top, but there is 2 on the bottom. And let's move out to the garage where I'll finish this job off. So finally I like to use 3 products. I use a surface prep, and use a light swirl remover, and use a liquid G3 compound if I need to, but generally I don't. These 2 things are usually more than enough. So what I do is I like to get a couple of different cloths. And to spray some surface prep on there, or surface cleaner, just give it a good wipe down. And I'll get a bit of the dirt off at least. Now this stuff's safe for metal and plastics, which makes it perfect for working on this. And then I like to get a cloth. This one's a good example. That's some of the dirt you can get off these units when they don't even look all that dirty. This looks a little bit grubby at worst. So I like to just get a bit on there, squash around a bit just to spread it around. And then work it into the unit. Now if any gets down between the keys, I'll often just reopen it again once I'm finished and clean the inside of the case. Again, this stuff's pretty safe. It doesn't do any damage to the unit. And I just go around in circles until it cleans up all the mess. And because it's a light swirl remover, not only does it clean, it also gets out any tiny little scratches that might be in it. And I'll just give this a bit more of a rub. Go backwards and forwards on it, up and down, and then round in circles. And I'll just cut back to this after I've cleaned it a bit. As you can see, some dirt's coming off it already. We'll cut back once I've cleaned this up a bit. As you can see, I've got a bit of dirt off there. Use a different cloth, so for wiping it down. Let's see what difference that's made. Now this is just the first application. Normally I'll give it 2 or 3 goes, but quite a bit cleaner. A little mark there, a little mark over there. There's a couple of scratches on the buttons, which I don't think I'll get out. A couple more marks up there. Generally speaking, it's looking pretty decent. I'll do the same on the back, and then I'll just cut down to show you the finished article. And here we have it. That's about as good as it's going to get. There's a slight dent there, and I'm going to show you. If you take the panel off it, just press with your finger gently from behind, that should pop out. I need a little bit cleaning around here with a Q-tip and some isopropyl, just because some of the cleaning products still stuck behind there, but generally speaking, the front is near perfect. The back, a couple of scratches on the back still. The glass window in it is absolutely perfect. So, yep, I think I'm going to sell this on. We'll see how it sells, and I'll report back in the comment section on how well it did. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, and hopefully you'll be restoring these before you know it too. Catch you in the next one.